As we analyze the fallout from the strikes on February 28, it is clear that while the conflict between the US, Israel, and Iran may appear geographically distant, its consequences are deeply entangled with the emerging market credit profiles we monitor as a credit rating. My name is Bektemba Ndimande and I'm an analyst at Sovereign Africa Ratings. Today, I want to take you through the consequences of this war. Strait of Hormuz carries 20% of global oil, 90% of it goes to Asia. And these are examples of some of the measures that Asian countries have had to take in order to mitigate against the fuel shortages that they are facing. Now, if you look at a country like Sri Lanka, it has declared every Wednesday a public holiday to conserve fuel. And motorists are also required to register for a national fuel pass, which rations the amount of fuel that people can buy. Go to Myanmar. There you'll find that private vehicles are only allowed to operate on alternate days, depending on their license plate numbers. Bangladesh has had to bring forward Ramadan holidays in universities and introduced planned blackouts across the nation to conserve energy. In Philippines, on the other hand, the government offices have mandated that staff work from home at least once a week. All this in an effort to mitigate against the energy crisis that they are now facing. We've discussed Asia. On the other hand, when it comes to Africa, you'll find that African agricultural productivity is uniquely tied to the strait due to heavy reliance on Gulf-produced nitrogen-based fertilizer. We need to monitor the agricultural channel closely. 1/3 of global fertilizer trade passes through the strait. The other effect on African sovereigns is that investors are now moving to what we can call safe havens. This is why you are finding that currencies in the African markets are facing a strain. For Africa, the challenge is with our currencies, which seem to be depreciating as a result of the war. The other challenge that we are facing is because of the fertilizer. We know that quite a large chunk of it comes through the strait. So as the war continues, we are finding out that we might import inflation that comes with food prices. Now, here are the strategic recommendations for mitigating these risks. I think one can follow the example that has been given by the Tanzanian president to try and increase capacity, fuel storage capacity for most African sovereigns. The other recommendation that I'll give is that we should rely less on fertilizer that is coming from outside the continent. We can increase it from the 30-40% that we currently have. We know that currently Dangote refinery in Nigeria is producing fertilizer that can be exported to the rest of the continent. I think also African countries can now accelerate renewable energies so that we don't rely on these fossil fuels that we seem to be struggling with, especially in times of war. By addressing these structural weaknesses, emerging markets can move from being the collateral damage of distant conflicts to becoming resilient economies capable of protecting both their citizens' dignity and their sovereign credit standings. In closing, I want to say that the war is ongoing as we speak, and there are moving pieces. But we at Sovereign Africa Ratings will make an effort to keep you informed about the effects of the war on emerging markets. Please let us know your thoughts and engage with us.